Artyom Libetska was a normal 37-year-old Belarusian. He was married with a 4-year-old daughter and had a job in real estate. But on the 28th of March, he was detained in Minsk, the capital of Belarus, and he's been in custody ever since.
My son's wife called and said that they've taken Artyom.
The thing is, Artyom's father is Anatol Libetska, veteran opposition figure and a staunch critic of the Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko. But Artyom, unlike his father, has never been involved in politics.
My son wasn't a member of any political party. He didn't have anything to do with politics.
Anatol Libetska was forced to leave Belarus in 2021. Now he lives in Lithuania, where he advises the exiled opposition leader Svetlana Tikhanovskaya.
My son is a textbook example of a hostage who's bearing responsibility for the actions of his father.
His son Artyom was initially detained for 15 days for allegedly swearing and harassing police officers.
In a country that lives in a state of fear, like in a concentration camp, the accusation that someone comes to the police building and starts swearing and harassing police officers, well, it's completely absurd.
He spent 30 days in Okrestina, the detention center which is synonymous with allegations of torture and abuse. And then authorities opened a criminal case against him. Now he faces up to 5 years in prison for financing extremism. The UN says that Belarusian authorities use extremism laws to suppress dissent. Between August 2020 and July 2022, they initiated more than 11,000 criminal cases relating to extremism.
During the first week, I couldn't sleep at all. And now I wake up at 6 a.m. every day and say good morning to him. At 10 p.m. I say good night.
Alexander Lukashenko has ruled the country since 1994. He's a close ally of Vladimir Putin, whom he calls Big Brother. Lukashenko has repeatedly said that his country stands for peace between Russia and Ukraine. But despite this, he allowed Russia to use Belarus as a platform to send troops into Ukraine in 2022. In 2020, Lukashenko claimed another presidential victory, but the results have not been recognized by the West. The election sparked unprecedented protests demanding Lukashenko's resignation. These ended in repression that continues to this day.
It would have happened in 2020 if it wasn't for several pillars of Lukashenko's regime. The main ones are Putin and fear. I'll give you this example. Lukashenko didn't change the name KGB, not because he lacks imagination. He, as a deeply Soviet person, understands that the KGB represents fear.
Many believe that Lukashenko wants to recreate Stalin-style grip on the country, so nobody dares to contest the next election. Many Belarusians came here to Lithuania in an attempt to flee the repressions. There are currently around 49,000 of them living here. In retaliation, the Belarusian regime has decided to target their relatives who stayed behind. And many fear that this is just the beginning. Anatol Libetska was detained more times than he can remember, but he says that families of activists were not being targeted before.
This is the first time. It was always a war. But there were some rules, there were some lines they wouldn't cross. Now we have gotten to the point where, before shooting their enemies, they put our children in front of us.
In a country that claims to have no political prisoners, there are currently almost 1,500 people imprisoned for political reasons. One of them is ex-presidential hopeful Viktor Babarika. His son Eduard was his campaign manager. Alexandra, Eduard's girlfriend at the time, remembers the day his father Viktor decided to run for the highest office.
Я хорошо помню этот момент. Я вышла из душа.
I remember this moment well. I got out of the shower. Eduard came in and I remember expression on his face when he told me, yes, father will run for the president. There was a brick wall in our flat, and I remember sliding down that wall because I couldn't imagine a positive picture.
Мое воображение не нарисовало сразу ничего хорошего.
Viktor Babarika was arrested a month after he declared his intention to run for the presidency. His son Eduard was arrested on the same day.
Вечером мне позвонили.
I got a call from the detention center. They said, "Hello, Alexandra. Eduard has been arrested in connection with suspicion for tax evasion."
Eduard Babarika has spent almost 3 years in a detention center without a trial, longer than any other political prisoner. The authorities have found new charges to justify his continued detention, including organizing mass riots.
Эдика задержали.
Eduard was detained in June, but protests in Belarus began in August.
Это очевидно, Эдика.
It's obvious that Eduard was imprisoned because his father tried to run in the election.
The car journey between Minsk and Vilnius takes only around 3 hours. Yet many Belarusians who live here say that there's simply no way they could ever go back.
Ты по факту ничего не сделал.
You did nothing wrong and you did not break the law, but you can't go home. I can't return to Belarus until the political situation there changes. Well, I can certainly go there, formally I can, but I won't get very far.
This testament to Belarusian fight for freedom and democracy has appeared almost opposite the Belarusian embassy here in Vilnius, as a reminder that Belarusians won't be silenced.
То, что я делаю, это как раз уничтожает вот эту систему.
My actions destroy this Stalinist system, and this is what will free everyone, including my son. I will keep on going. It's worth it.